Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Smackdown and AEW Rampage review. Smackdown was from the Paycom Center in Oklahoma City, while Rampage was taped from the Wintrust Arena in Chicago. And Smackdown tonight, what the fuck did we watch with Smackdown? Did we watch a rerun tonight? Because I know I saw a rerun. We had rematches tonight. And the show was absolutely awful, as always. This show was a complete waste of 2 hours. So, what do we see? We had Ricochet versus Sheamus, and then it turned into a tag team match with Sheamus and Holland versus Ricochet and Cesaro. More of the same. Aliyah versus Natalya. 3 weeks in a row, we've seen Aliyah and Natalya. And WWE, they keep pushing Aliyah's record time in beating Natalya in 3 minutes and 17 seconds. They're running that into the fucking ground. And we had the New Day versus Los Lotharios, Angel and Humberto. Did we already see this match already? This was a rerun. And we had Ronda Rousey ended up coming on the show to announce her opponent for WrestleMania. And her opponent, man, this is going to be a waste of a fucking match at WrestleMania. Nobody is going to be excited to see this match come WrestleMania. But SmackDown tonight, complete waste of 2 hours, absolutely awful, with rematches. WWE Creative took the night off tonight, and you could tell just by watching the show tonight. Completely fucking awful. But before I start the review, if you guys haven't checked out my previous video that I uploaded earlier today, I reviewed this past Wednesday's edition of Dynamite, which was a very good show that was main evented by CM Punk and MJF. So check out my review of Dynamite if you guys haven't seen it yet. But let's get right into the review of this horrendous edition of SmackDown. SmackDown opened up tonight with the Bloodline, Roman Reigns, the Usos, and Paul Heyman. So they end up stopping at the entranceway. Pyro ended up going off for them. Paul Heyman was shown carrying the Universal Championship in the air. And we had the Bloodline end up marching to the ring. We saw a video package of highlights from Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns' match at the Royal Rumble, which of course Seth Rollins won by disqualification. So we saw a video package of that, which that match was the best match on the entire show. On the entire show of the Royal Rumble. That Royal Rumble, the whole show was fucking awful. And the women's and men's Rumble were terrible. But the women's Rumble, I gotta say, was better, even though it was still terrible. It was better than the men's Rumble. That whole show was fucking terrible. So the Bloodline end up coming into the ring. They got more pyro going off for them. So Reigns ended up taking the mic. He was getting booed by the crowd. Paul Heyman ended up getting on the mic. He ended up speaking first. He ended up saying that he's here tonight to serve as the special counsel to our tribal chief. So he did his introduction, of course. He ended up saying they came here to acknowledge what really happened. Paul Heyman ended up saying that there was on-plot or conspiracy. And this was not done to make Brock Lesnar look foolish. But he ended up saying that he does look like a damn fool anyway. And this was history unfolding before our very eyes. Paul Heyman ended up admitting that he made the biggest mistake of his career several weeks back, when he told the greatest champion in WWE history that he needed to be protected from Brock Lesnar. Paul Heyman ended up saying that he got fired and he got hit with a Superman punch for it. And he acknowledges he got what he deserved for it. So Paul Heyman ended up going on, he ended up saying that he saw an opportunity, so he took it. So he ended up saying that Reigns couldn't make day one. So he got Brock Lesnar into the WWE Championship match, and he became WWE Champion. Paul Heyman asks how stupid was Brock Lesnar going for Roman Reigns. He ended up saying that Brock Lesnar looks like a schmuck, and that he now acts like one. Heyman ended up saying that he knew he screwed up with the Tribal Chief, and was stuck with a happy Saskatchewan who just wanted to suplex everyone. So Paul Heyman ended up saying that then we got to the Rumble. Brock Lesnar took Bobby Lashley to Suplex City. And Reigns showed up and proved a goat can always slay a beast. He ended up saying that Reigns came to him offering the hand of forgiveness, the hand of love, the hand of family, the hand of the bloodline, the hand of acknowledgement. And Paul Heyman handed Reigns the WWE Championship and smashed Lesnar in the face with it. And of course, because of that, Bobby Lashley pinned Brock Lesnar, and Bobby Lashley is the WWE Champion. So Paul Heyman ended up saying now everyone has to acknowledge that there will not be a title versus title match at WrestleMania, because Brock Lesnar does not get what he wants, but he will do what Reigns wants him to do. And at WrestleMania, Brock Lesnar will acknowledge Reigns. Paul Heyman ended up saying, this is how it's done. So Paul Heyman ended up turning to Reigns. He ended up saying, I, Paul Heyman, acknowledge you, Roman Reigns, as my tribal chief. So boos end up ringing out. Paul Heyman ended up saying, this is Oklahoma City's chance to show history. So Paul Heyman ended up calling on Oklahoma City to acknowledge Reigns as a tribal chief. So we got boos from the crowd. And then Bill Goldberg ended up coming out. So Goldberg ended up coming out. So Goldberg got into the ring. He got on the mic. He ended up saying that he acknowledges Reigns as his next victim. So Goldberg ended up proposing a match between him and Reigns for the Universal Championship at Elimination Chamber in Saudi Arabia. So Goldberg ended up saying, you're next. Goldberg ended up dropping the mic. He ended up facing off with Reigns. And that was that. Overall, this was a good segment to open SmackDown. You know, it's Roman Reigns. But do you all want to see Goldberg versus Roman for the title at Elimination Chamber? I know I don't, and I know a lot of you don't want to see it either. This match was planned 2 years ago for WrestleMania. They were going to do this match, but COVID ended up happening, so we didn't even get the match. But now, 2 years later, we are getting it. I thought WWE would not go back and revisit this with Goldberg and Roman Reigns. I don't want to see this match. I hope Roman wins the match and retains the title. If they make Goldberg win the match, then everything that WWE did with Roman Reigns and this reign that he's had with the Universal Championship goes completely down the drain and out the window. And I said that with Roman's match with Seth Rollins at the Royal Rumble. If Seth Rollins won that match at the Rumble, even if it wasn't a disqualification, if Seth Rollins won that match at the Rumble against Roman, it would destroy everything that WWE has done with Roman Reigns and his reign as Universal Champion. But thank God that didn't happen at the Royal Rumble, and we got a disqualification. So I don't want to see this match with Goldberg and Roman Reigns, but we're getting it. Awful. Absolutely awful. And then we had Ridge Holland versus Ricochet. Same shit. Sheamus and Ridge Holland end up coming out. Ridge Holland was still wearing the face mask, and with the hat on, and with the mask on, Ridge Holland, he looked like the Green Hornet. Yeah, seriously, Ridge Holland looked like the Green Hornet with all that on. So then as SmackDown came back from the commercial, Ricochet and Cesaro were out there. The match ended up starting. Ricochet ended up attacking Ridge Holland. Ridge Holland ended up kneeing Ricochet, ended up dropping him with an uppercut. So Ridge Holland continued to dominate on Ricochet. Ridge Holland ended up launching Ricochet into the corner. Holland ended up charging, and Ricochet ended up sidestepping, sending Ridge Holland out to the floor. Ricochet ended up missing a baseball slide, and Ridge Holland ended up scooping him up. Ridge Holland ended up dropping Ricochet face first over the edge of the apron. So Cesaro ended up coming over. He had a few words with Sheamus. Ridge Holland ended up bringing Ricochet back in. Ricochet ended up taking advantage of the distraction from ringside, and he ended up dropping Ridge Holland from the ropes. He ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Ricochet ended up winning the match. Overall, just a very meh match. And then it turned into a tag team match. Sheamus and Ridge Holland versus Cesaro and Ricochet. Why did we get this match? I don't know. We just saw Ridge Holland and Ricochet going at it. And now we have Ridge Holland teaming with Sheamus and Ricochet teaming with Cesaro. So Ridge Holland and Ricochet are going at it again. This match made no sense. So Sheamus ended up nailing the 10 beats of the boot on to Cesaro on the apron. Sheamus kept control of the match. He ended up hitting the Irish Curse backbreaker to Cesaro. Ridge Holland ended up coming in. He started dominating on Cesaro. Sheamus ended up tagging back in, and Cesaro ended up tagging in Ricochet. Ricochet ended up mounting offense on Sheamus, ended up dropping him, hitting a springboard moonsault. He ended up going for the cover. Sheamus kicked out at 2. Sheamus ended up decking Ricochet with a big boot. And then Cesaro ended up tagging in. Ricochet ended up decking Ridge Holland after he ended up hitting Cesaro. So Ricochet and Ridge Holland ended up down on the floor. Sheamus and Cesaro ended up going at it. Sheamus ended up sitting up on the top, and Cesaro ended up drop kicking Sheamus. Cesaro ended up hitting a superplex, and he didn't see Ridge Holland tag himself in. So Ridge Holland ended up grabbing Cesaro. Holland ended up dropping Cesaro with Northern Grit, and he ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Ridge Holland and Sheamus ended up winning the match. Whatever. Same shit. And then we had Jimmy Uso versus Erik of the Viking Raiders. So we had the Usos end up coming out first, and then the Viking Raiders. The match ended up starting. Jimmy ended up attacking Erik. Erik ended up fighting back. He ended up launching Jimmy with a belly-to-belly throw. Erik delivered another slam to Jimmy. He ended up going for the cover. Jimmy ended up kicking out at 2. Erik delivered a knee to Jimmy's face. Jay ended up distracting Erik on the floor. Ivar ended up running over. He ended up leaping off the ring steps. And Jay ended up moving. Ivar ended up landing hard. So Jimmy ended up coming from behind. Jimmy ended up dropping Erik. He ended up going up to the top and delivered the Uso splash. And he went for the cover. And there you go. Jimmy ended up winning the match. Post-match, the Usos ended up taunting the Viking Raiders from the ramp. Erik and Ivar were seen in the ring. And that was that. And then we're going to get the Usos versus the Viking Raiders at Elimination Chamber. And the titles are going to be on the line. overall, match was awful. And then we had Aliyah versus Natalya. 3 weeks already we're seeing this. So we had Aliyah end up coming out first. Of course, WWE, once again, they are beating Aliyah's fastest record for beating Natalya in 3 minutes and 17 seconds. They're beating that to the ground. I think everybody is sick of hearing, oh, Aliyah beat Natalya in 3 minutes and 17 seconds. Everyone is getting tired of hearing it. So then Natalya ended up coming out, of course, with her Guinness Book of World Records. And this match was awful. Match was terrible. It's the same shit. Aliyah tried to go for an early pin on Natalya. Natalya ended up getting upset, started alone in the corner. So Natalya was just trash talking to Aliyah. Aliyah ended up rolling her up. And it was back and forth between them. Aliyah ended up fighting from the apron. Ended up countering her Karana. Ended up taking Natalya down. Aliyah ended up delivering a death press and some right hands to Natalya. So Aliyah ended up countering a move from Natalya, ended up delivering a bulldog. Natalya came back, ended up hitting a discus clothesline to Aliyah. Natalya ended up sending Aliyah out to the floor. She ended up sending Aliyah into the barricade. Aliyah ended up sending Natalya into the barricade. Aliyah ended up scrambling back into the ring because the referee was counting. So Aliyah ended up going back into the ring, and the referee ended up counting to 10. So Aliyah wins the match by countout. So post-match, Natalya was seated at ringside, and that was that. And then we're going to be getting this again next week on SmackDown. Unbelievable. It's the same fucking shit. So then we had Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre ended up coming out with his sword, Angela. And once again, we see at day one where Corbin and Moss, the Joker and the Riddler, end up attacking Drew McIntyre. So we saw that again. So Michael Cole on commentary ended up saying that McIntyre returned months early because he returned at the Rumble on this past Saturday. So McIntyre ended up getting on the mic. He ended up talking about some of the headlines about how he was going to be out a long time or wouldn't be back at all. He ended up saying that a doctor told him the day after day one that he definitely wouldn't make the Rumble and probably not make it to WrestleMania. So McIntyre ended up saying that he looked the doc in the eye and told him to kiss his ass. So McIntyre ended up saying that he immediately began rehab 3 times a day and got back as soon as he could. He ended up saying that the Rumble didn't go as planned, but he and Brock Lesnar are now 1-1, and he will revisit that later. So then out came Corbin. Corbin ended up getting on the mic. Corbin ended up asking McIntyre if it was all worth it to come back and risk his whole career and be thrown out like a bag of garbage by Brock Lesnar in the Rumble. He ended up saying that McIntyre failed and won't be going to WrestleMania, and the thought of that makes him very happy. So McIntyre ended up sensing Moss sneaking up behind him, and McIntyre ended up stopping him by pointing the sword, and he demanded Moss to tell a joke. He ended up saying that if Corbin tries to interrupt, he will draw blood with the sword. So Moss ended up telling a joke about Oklahoma, and McIntyre ended up wanting to hear a joke about himself. Moss ended up telling a joke about, the WrestleMania main event being scot-free. So Corbin was laughing, lame-ass fucking joke with Moss. So McIntyre ended up acting like he was laughing. Moss was laughing as well. McIntyre ended up leveling Moss with a claymore. McIntyre ended up pointing out at Corbin, ended up saying that he will make his life a living hell every week. And this was just the beginning. And that was how the segment ended, but the segment was fucking awful. Corbin and Moss, every time they're out, they are the absolute worst parts of SmackDown. They are absolutely awful. This whole Happy Corbin gimmick is fucking terrible. His gimmick is literally the worst gimmick in pro wrestling nowadays. An embarrassment. So then we had Sami Zayn backstage with Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville. Sami Zayn was furious about the footage they aired, and it was the footage of Sami Zayn at the Jackass Forever premiere, and Johnny Knoxville and the cast end up kicking out of the premiere because Sami Zayn was knocking Johnny Knoxville, and Johnny Knoxville ended up having a taser, and he was tasing Sami Zayn at the premiere. So Sami Zayn, I said, he was backstage with Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville, furious about the footage they played of him at the Jackass Forever premiere. So Sami Zayn was seething about still not receiving his Intercontinental Championship match with Shinsuke Nakamura. So the match is going to be in 2 weeks. Adam Pearce ended up asking if they should invite Johnny Knoxville. Sami ended up thinking that Pearce was joking. So Sami ended up walking off. So we're getting the Intercontinental Championship match, Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura on SmackDown on the 18th, the day after Elimination Chamber. So then Natalya ended up coming in. Natalya was ranting about how Aliyah has never really defeated her straight up, and that she wants to face Aliyah in a dungeon-style match next week, whether it's won by pinfall or submission. So Sonya Deville ended up agreeing, so we're getting the match next week. 4 weeks already. Next week, we're seeing Aliyah versus Natalya. 4 weeks next week. Said same fucking shit. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Jinder Mahal. This was a championship contenders match. WWE, stop with these fucking championship contenders matches. Please. They make no sense. So Rick Boogs ended up coming out, and he does his entrance, of course introducing Nakamura. Of course, Pat McAfee ends up jamming to Nakamura's music. Then SmackDown went to commercial. Then when SmackDown came back from the commercial, Jinder Mahal came out along with Shanky. So we had Sami Zayn end up coming out. Sami Zayn ended up going to the commentary table. He was doing commentary for the match. So the match ended up starting. Nakamura ended up charging. Jinder ended up attacking him in the gut. Nakamura turned it around, started beating Jinder down. Nakamura ended up ready to go for the Kinshasa on Jinder, but Jinder ended up sidestepping. He ended up dropping Nakamura over his knees for a close 2 count. So Jinder ended up dropping a knee to Nakamura. He ended up going for another cover, and Nakamura ended up kicking out at 2. So Jinder ended up manhandling Nakamura. He tried to keep control of the match. Boogs ended up trying to rally from Nakamura at ringside, but Jinder ended up keeping control, started grounding Nakamura. Nakamura ended up fighting back up with some elbow strikes, and Nakamura ended up stunning Jinder, knocked him down with some kicks. Nakamura ended up delivering the Kinshasa to Jinder Mahal, and Nakamura ended up going for the cover, and there you go. He ended up winning the match. So, post-match, Sami Zayn ended up standing on top of the commentary table. He started yelling at Boogs and Nakamura while they were celebrating in the ring. And that was that. Overall, match was awful. So then we saw Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville was backstage with Adam Pearce. Naomi ended up walking in. Of course, this feud between Naomi and Sonya Deville is still continuing. This feud should have ended on SmackDown last week and shouldn't have continued into the Rumble, into the Women's Rumble. So Naomi ended up wanting Sonya Deville to meet her in the ring in 5 minutes. And Sonya Deville ended up saying that she is busy with official duties. Naomi ended up telling her, well, let's do it next week. So Sonya Deville ended up telling Naomi that she already has a match. Naomi already has a match next week against Charlotte for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Naomi ended up saying that she doesn't believe Sonya Deville. So Adam Pearce ended up confirming the match for next week. And Naomi ended up thanking Adam Pearce. She ended up telling Sonya Deville that she is safe for now. And that was that. So again, the match next week. Naomi versus Charlotte for the SmackDown Women's Championship, which Charlotte will be retaining, of course. And then as SmackDown came back from the commercial, it was announced that at Elimination Chamber, it's going to be Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss. And that match will be my bathroom break. That match will be fucking awful. And then we had Kayla Braxton backstage with Natalya. Kayla Braxton was asking Natalya for a preview of the Dungeon Style match next week with Aliyah. So Natalya ended up saying that she isn't going to wait to tell Aliyah. She's going to tell her now. So Natalya ended up walking to the locker room, and out came Xia Li. She ended up having a stare down with Natalya, and that was basically that. So then we had the New Day versus Los Lotharios, Humberto, and Angel. And this match was okay, in my opinion. So we had a pre-recorded footage of Angel and Humberto's photo shoot, Valentine's Day photo shoot, which got interrupted by Kofi Kingston and Big E. So we saw that. So the match started off with Big E and Angel, and we had Big E end up dodging a drop kick, and we had Angel end up tossing the roses to Big E and Kofi Kingston. Big E had some offense as Kofi ended up tagging in with a drop kick to Angel, and he went for the cover. Angel kicked out too. Big E and Kofi ended up doing some quick tags and some pin attempts. Angel ended up taking Kofi to the corner. Humberto ended up tagging in. So Angel and Humberto ended up having some offense here. Kofi ended up taking Humberto down. In came in Big E, and Big E and Kofi ended up double teaming on Humberto. Angel provided a distraction from the apron, which allowed Humberto to take control and drop Kofi from behind. So Angel and Humberto ended up double teaming on Kofi again, and they ended up knocking Big E off the apron. Kofi sent Humberto out to the floor. He was looking to nail a springboard to Humberto on the floor, but Angel ended up delivering a super kick to Kofi out of the air. And SmackDown went to commercial. Then as SmackDown came back from the commercial, Kofi was being double teamed by Los Lotharios on the ropes. Angel ended up pulling off his pants, his snap-off pants, and he tossed them at Big E, and he went back to work on Kofi. So the referee kept Big E from coming in. Humberto delivered a big belly-to-belly suplex to Kofi, and Humberto was talking some trash, and he ended up missing a top rope moonsault as Kofi ended up moving out of the way. Big E ended up tagging in. Big E started loading with some belly-to-belly suplexes to Humberto, and Big E ended up running the ropes. He ended up hitting a splash on Angel. Angel ended up blocking the big ending ended up dropping Big E with a backstabber. So Big E ended up catching Angel with the Uranagi. Kofi ended up coming in. He ended up going up to the top. And they ended up hitting the Midnight Hour on Angel. And they went for the cover. Humberto ended up breaking up the pin. Big E ended up going for the running spear to the apron. And Humberto ended up moving out of the way. Big E ended up hitting hard on the floor. So at the end of the match, we had Big E and Kofi Kingston. They ended up hitting the Midnight Hour on Angel. So they ended up going for the cover. There you go. The New Day ended up winning the match. Overall, it was an okay match. And then we had Charlotte Flair end up coming out. So then SmackDown went to commercial. And then as SmackDown came back from the commercial, it was confirmed it's going to be Sami Zayn versus Nakamura for the Intercontinental Championship in 2 weeks. So we had Charlotte and Sonya Deville in the ring. Sonya Deville ended up saying that she hasn't ran it by higher-ups yet, but she had a conversation with Becky Lynch. And Becky Lynch ended up telling Deville that Ronda Rousey picked her for WrestleMania. And she ended up saying that she expects the contract to be signed this Monday. So Sonya Deville ended up saying that Charlotte will need a WrestleMania-worthy opponent after she beats Naomi next week. And Charlotte ended up saying that she is not surprised by Ronda picking Becky Lynch for her opponent, because she has been dominating the company while Ronda has been at home having a baby and playing video games. Charlotte ended up saying mom versus mom is an easier route for Becky and Ronda. Charlotte ended up saying that she has never been more confident in herself, and that she is the WrestleMania main event. And if Ronda wants to pick the undercard champion, go for it, because number one doesn't talk about number two. So Charlotte ended up asking the crowd, who should she pick for WrestleMania? She ended up saying that she'll pick someone who isn't even here, and that woman is Sasha Banks. Charlotte ended up wishing Banks was here so she could hear her thank her. Charlotte ended up saying that WrestleMania would be the best and worst night for Sasha, and that she will have a contract waiting for her. And then out came Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey was greeting the fans. She ended up coming into the ring. Ronda Rousey got on the mic. She ended up bringing up all this he said, she said, and says they love to talk about her. Ronda ended up saying that last time she checked, she won the Rumble, and she gets to pick her WrestleMania opponent. So Ronda Rousey ended up saying that Charlotte was right about being a mom changing her. She ended up saying that she didn't fly across the country with her baby in an ice storm to have a chat. She did it to show her the family business of kicking ass. And as Charlotte is one person she owes an ass kicking to. So Ronda was laughing as Charlotte and Sonya ended up looking on. Ronda Rousey ended up saying, let's be clear, Charlotte is not special. She is just first. She ended up saying that she will see Charlotte at WrestleMania, bitch. Ronda Rousey ended up dropping the mic. She ended up staring Charlotte down. Charlotte ended up laughing. She ended up saying that the opportunity is back in the main event of WrestleMania. So then Charlotte ended up raising the SmackDown Women's Championship in the air. She ended up saying that the championship is her baby, and that's prettier than Ronda's baby. So Charlotte ended up laughing at Ronda. Ronda had enough of Charlotte. She ended up taking off her jacket. She squared up to fight Charlotte. Sonya Deville ended up getting in the way. And Sonya Deville ended up saying to Ronda that she has a terrible temper, and that she needs to remember one thing. So Sonya Deville ended up telling Ronda that she runs the show, and she tells Ronda what to do, not the other way around. So then Ronda ended up shoving Sonya Deville. Charlotte ended up charging her. Ronda ended up sidestepping Charlotte. So Sonya Deville ended up jumping on Ronda Rousey's back. Ronda Rousey ended up slamming Sonya Deville to the mat. Charlotte retreated from the ring. Sonya Deville ended up screaming as Ronda ended up applying the armbar. So Charlotte was watching from the floor as Ronda ended up locking in the armbar on Sonya Deville's arm. And that was basically that. Overall, this segment was just very meh. Why do we need Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte? Once again, Charlotte wheels her way to main event WrestleMania. We don't need Charlotte versus Ronda. What we needed was Ronda versus Becky. And WWE ended up saying, oh yeah, we might get Ronda versus Becky next year. But we gotta suffer through Ronda versus Charlotte. We gotta suffer through that at WrestleMania. How fucking terrible. Match will be god-awful. I mean, who was looking forward to Ronda versus Charlotte? Awful. Absolutely awful. I am done talking about SmackDown, this SmackDown tonight. Absolutely fucking terrible show. A waste of 2 hours of rematches. SmackDown fucking sucked. Now moving on to AEW Rampage, which Rampage was a awesome show tonight. We had Adam Cole versus Eva Luno. The Undisputed TNT Championship was on the line where Sammy Guevara defended the title against Isiah Kassidy. We had Thunder Rosa versus Mercedes Martinez, and the match ended in a twist, which I'll explain. And then we had the FTW Championship on the line where Ricky Starks defended the title against Jay Lethal. But Rampage was an awesome show. So Rampage opened up with Adam Cole versus Eva Luno. This was a quick match here. Adam Cole ended up going right at Eva Luno, delivered a kick to Eva Luno. So Cole ended up kicking Eva Luno down into the corner. He started choking Eva Luno against the ropes. Eva Luno ended up blocking a kick from Adam Cole, and he ended up hitting the neck breaker. Cole ended up charging into an elbow from Eva Luno, so Eva Luno took control of the match, started beating down Adam Cole in the corner. Adam Cole ended up firing back, but he ended up eating a boot from Eva Luno. Eva Luno ended up climbing out to the top rope, and he ended up hitting a senton, and Adam Cole ended up hitting a high kick to take down Eva Luno. Adam Cole ended up putting Eva Luno up to his knees, ended up hitting a super kick, and then Cole delivered the boom to Eva Luno. He ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Adam Cole ended up winning the match. Post-match, Adam Cole ended up getting on the mic, and he ended up mentioning everyone he has beaten since he arrived in AEW. He's still undefeated, Adam Cole. So Adam Cole ended up saying that he's still undefeated because his loss to Orange Cassidy last week was unsanctioned. Adam Cole ended up saying that he wants some respect. He ended up saying that he's one of the best pro wrestlers on the planet. And he is. Adam Cole is one of the best wrestlers on the planet. The guy is that good. So Adam Cole ended up saying that he always ends up becoming the guy, no matter the promotion, the company, or brand. He ended up saying, I will become the AEW World Champion. So that was basically what Adam Cole had to say. But this was a pretty good promo from Adam Cole. He is now in the World Championship picture. So that's awesome there. Like I said, the guy is still undefeated. Overall, it was, a quick match, with Adam Cole and Eva Luno. And then we went backstage, and Jade Cargill was back there. Jade Cargill, TBS champion. She is now 26-0. Mark Sterling ended up saying that win number 27 for Cargill is coming. So Cargill ended up wanting to know who's next for her to face. So that was what Jay Cargill and Mark Sterling had to say. And then we had Sammy Guevara versus Isiah Kassidy, the Undisputed TNT Championship. So this was a very good matchup here. We had Isiah Kassidy come out along with Matt Hardy and Mark Gwen. So we had Guevara. He was in the match, and his ribs were taped up. So the match ended up starting with Guevara and Isiah Kassidy locking up. Kassidy ended up grabbing Guevara's leg. He ended up taking down Guevara. Kassidy ended up delivering a drop kick to Guevara. Guevara ended up firing back. Him and Kassidy started trading punches. So Guevara ended up sending Isiah Kassidy to the outside by a drop kick. Guevara ended up following him out with a twist and dive over the top rope. Guevara ended up bringing Kassidy back to the ring. So we had Guevara end up avoiding interference by Mark Gwen, but Matt Hardy ended up delivering a side effect on Guevara on the ring apron. So the referee didn't see that. So as Rampage came back from the commercial, Isiah Kassidy was shown working over Guevara with a chin lock. Guevara ended up firing back with a clothesline and a knee strike to Isiah Kassidy. Guevara ended up trying to lift Kassidy for the GTH, but his ribs were hurting him. He couldn't hit the GTH. So Guevara was able to take down Kassidy. He ended up climbing up to the top rope. He got distracted by Andrade coming out. So Andrade ended up coming out along with Jose, his assistant. Isiah Kassidy ended up taking advantage of the distraction. He ended up getting a near fall on Guevara. So Guevara ended up rolling to the ring apron. Kassidy ended up trying to grab Guevara, but Kassidy ended up dropping his neck over the top rope, and he followed with a dive to Guevara on the outside. So Isiah Kassidy ended up rolling Sammy Guevara back to the ring. He ended up hitting a swanton from the top rope, and he went for the cover. Guevara ended up kicking out at 2. Isiah Kassidy tried to go for the twist of fate, and Guevara ended up reversing that into a backslide for a pin, and Isiah Kassidy ended up kicking out at 2. So Guevara ended up driving Kassidy into the corner, hit a springboard moonsault to Mark Gwen on the outside. Guevara then ended up springboarding back into the ring. He ended up hitting a cutter to Isiah Kassidy. He went for the cover, and it was a near fall. Guevara ended up following that up with a GTH, and he went for the cover. And there you go. Sammy Guevara ended up winning the match, retaining the TNT Championship. Post-match, Andrade, Jose, and Matt Hardy ended up stepping into the ring. Jericho stood up from the commentary table to possibly come in to save Sammy Guevara. But Darby Allin ended up running down to back up Sammy Guevara. And the AHFO ended up getting out of the ring. Darby Allin ended up staring at Sammy Guevara, ended up pinning one of the TNT Championship belts. And it was indicated that Darby Allin may want a shot at the TNT Championship. So that's a little tease right there. So we might possibly see Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara for the TNT Championship at some point. But overall, good match from Sammy Guevara and Isiah Kassidy. So then we had QT Marshall. QT Marshall delivered a pre-recorded promo talking about Hook. QT Marshall ended up saying that one of his prize students will face Hook next week. But we don't know who QT Marshall is going to have one of his prize students face Hook next week. We don't know who it is. So that was that. And then Tony Schiavone was backstage with Chris Statlander. Statlander ended up saying that she wants Layla Hirsch to start acting like a professional. So Layla Hirsch ended up attacking Chris Statlander with a chair, and that was that. Then we had Mercedes Martinez versus Thunder Rosa. This was a good match here. Of course, Mercedes Martinez ended up costing Thunder Rosa her match against Jade Cargill in the TBS Championship tournament. So Thunder Rosa started off the match. She ended up attacking with a dropkick to Mercedes Martinez, started pounding Martinez up against the ropes, and she was delivering some elbow drops to Martinez. She ended up choking Martinez over the second rope. Thunder Rosa followed that up with a running dive right onto Mercedes Martinez's back, and it sent them to the outside. Thunder Rosa then ended up hitting a suplex to Mercedes Martinez on the floor. Rosa ended up rolling Martinez back into the ring. She started delivering some kicks and punches. She locked in the camel clutch on Martinez. Martinez ended up reversing Thunder Rosa into a spine buster as she ended up taking control of the match. As Rampage came back from the commercial, Martinez ended up bringing Rosa down from the top rope with a avalanche Death Valley driver. She ended up going for the cover. Thunder Rosa ended up kicking out too. So Mercedes Martinez ended up putting Thunder Rosa up for the Razor's Edge. Thunder Rosa ended up escaping, and she ended up taking down Martinez. Martinez rolled to the outside, and Martinez went under the ring, and she ended up finding a metal pipe. She ended up hitting Thunder Rosa in the head with the pipe, and the referee ended up calling for the match. So Thunder Rosa ended up winning the match by disqualification, which this is the first disqualification on Rampage. And they said, oh yeah, this is the Jericho on commentary ended up saying, oh, this is the first disqualification that he has seen in AEW. Don't I remember CM Punk costing MJF the match and it ended in disqualification? So that's the first disqualification there. So, but Thunder Rosa wins the match by disqualification. Overall, it was a solid match between Mercedes Martinez and Thunder Rosa. And then we had another hype video for Serena Deeb, which we saw. And then we went backstage. Tony Schiavone caught up with Mercedes Martinez. And Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, showed up. And Baker ended up telling Martinez this is not what they discussed. Baker ended up making it very clear that she's the one who brought in Mercedes Martinez to go after Thunder Rosa. So Britt Baker ended up telling Mercedes Martinez that she needs to finish the job next time. So that was that. And then we had Mark Henry with Jay Lethal and Ricky Starks. Jay Lethal ended up saying that he is worried about Powerhouse Hobbs being in the corner of Ricky Starks. So Lethal ended up asking Starks what will happen to him if he loses the FTW Championship. So that was basically that. And then they went over what we're going to see this Wednesday on Dynamite. Of course, we're going to see the Texas Death Match, Hangman and Page versus Lance Archer. AEW World Championship is going to be on the line. That should be an awesome match there. Tony Khan has this huge announcement that he's going to make. And then MJF is going to speak. And then we're going to see the first qualifying match for the Face of the Revolution ladder match, which is going to be held at Revolution. And of course, it's going to be the Inner Circle team meeting where Jericho ended up stating that he's going to be face to face with Santana and Ortiz. So this might possibly be that the Inner Circle might be breaking up. That's my prediction, but may not happen. So that's what I see. I see this Inner Circle team meeting where Jericho is going to be face-to-face with Santana and Ortiz, and maybe we're going to see the possibility breakup of the Inner Circle. But that's a prediction. Maybe wrong on that. So that's how I see it. And then next Friday, we're going to have Hook in action, of course, against one of QT Marshall's prized students. And it's going to be Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus versus the Gun Club. And it's going to be for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. So that's taking place next Friday on Rampage. Main event, Ricky Starks versus Jay Lethal. FTW Championship on the line. Ricky Starks, of course, came out along with powerhouse Will Hobbs. And this was a good match here. Jay Lethal ended up taking down Starks with a shoulder tackle. They were trading headlocks. Jay Lethal ended up taking down Starks with another shoulder tackle. Starks ended up slapping Jay Lethal, and they started delivering some strikes. So Jay Lethal ended up delivering some chops to Ricky Starks in the corner. Starks ended up coming back, delivered some of his own chops to Jay Lethal. And Jay Lethal ended up taking control of the match. He delivered some more chops to Jay Lethal, to Ricky Starks in the corner. Jay Lethal ended up going for a suplex, and Ricky Starks ended up reversing that, delivered an elbow to the back of Jay Lethal's neck. So Lethal ended up tripping up Starks, ended up sending him to the outside. Jay Lethal ended up following up with a pair of dives out to Ricky Starks. So Hobbs ended up stepping in to confront Jay Lethal. Starks was able to retake advantage of the match, and Starks was grounding Jay Lethal with a front headlock. Jay Lethal ended up getting back up to his feet, started punching his way out of the headlock. Starks ended up trying to go for a swinging DDT. Jay Lethal ended up reversing it. He ended up catching Starks with a clothesline. Starks ended up charging into the corner. Jay Lethal ended up moving. He ended up rolling up Starks. Starks ended up kicking out at one. So Lethal ended up hitting his combination on Ricky Starks, and he ended up going for the cover. Starks ended up kicking out at two. So we had Hobbs end up getting up on the apron later on. Jay Lethal ended up drop kicking him off the apron. Hobbs managed to take down Jay Lethal on the floor. Dante Martin ended up showing up, and he ended up hitting the springboard crossbody to Hobbs on the outside. Jay Lethal ended up getting back in the ring. He ended up missing the lethal injection. So he ended up hitting another attempt at the lethal injection to Ricky Starks, but it got reversed into the Rochambeau by Ricky Starks, and he ended up getting the pin. And there you go. Ricky Starks ended up winning the match, retaining the FTW Championship. Overall, this was a good match up here, and just really enjoyed the match. Overall, Rampage was awesome and a whole lot better than Smackdown. Anyways, that's it for my review of Smackdown and AEW Rampage. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. Be sure to check out my Dynamite review if you guys haven't seen it yet. So, until the next video, I'll see you all later.